throw together a little video here. I was looking for some Evapo-Rust, a rust removal product that I've seen other people use when they're trying to get rust removed, when they're restoring machinery, etc. Um, my quest to find it is I looked on the internet and it was shown as being available at Home Depot, or at least it was on Home Depot's website. So I went to my local Home Depot store, and they did not have Evapo-Rust. They had something else that was called Metal Rescue. And what I'm doing is I used it. I kind of really wasn't happy with the results of it. What you'll see what I mean by I wasn't happy with the results of it, but I did subsequently find a place that stocked Evapo-Rust, and I did buy that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little comparison. I've got parts that I'm putting in two bins at exactly the same time that have equally the same amount of rust on them equally. So we'll see which product works the best. Bring you back. I just wanted to do a little video here on. I had these parts from the American lathe, and they're rusty. I wanted to get some Evapo-Rust and take care of them. I went on kind of on the web and looked for Evapo-Rust, and one of the places that was listed of having it is Home Depot. So I went to the local Home Depot store, and they didn't have Evapo-Rust like is listed on their website. They had this stuff, it's called Metal Rescue, and it was basically the same price as the Evapo-Rust was listed for. This jug was $27, I think, and that's compatible. I think Evapo-Rust is $29, but regardless, what I did was stuck this candlestick tool holder in it, and this is what I got. But this isn't what I got just by sticking it in there. I stuck it in there, and it was in there for a day, and I kind of pulled it out, and the water or the liquid hadn't turned colors or anything, so I pulled it out, and it looked the same as when I put it in, just wet, but I took a little steel wool and kind of rubbed on it a little bit, and it looked like it was taking the rust off underneath of it. So I stuck it back in there and left it back in there for 2 days, and this is actually what I got. I haven't taken any steel wool to it. I pulled it out and it looked like this. Now I did try and see the end there. I tried a Scotch-Brite pad that had been soaked in this stuff, and it wouldn't touch that, but I kind of think that end is actually the end of where it was sitting on the cup that I had it in. But actually it came out pretty good, but it didn't come out like that without some work. Again, I had to, partway through the rust removal procedure, take some steel wool to it and then re-soak it for 2 days. So I'm going to use up this stuff that I have and then actually try and find some Evapo-Rust and see if there's a difference in it. One of the mistakes that I made is, and I don't know whether you can see it right now, I put it in a cup. Let me show it to you, the cup that I had it in. I had it in a coffee cup. It's a paper coffee cup. And it was in there for a couple of days with absolutely no problem. And then over the weekend I didn't come back in here, and now it's Monday morning. I came back in here, and that's how much was left in it, and the rest of it leaked all over the table. So it bad idea to stick it in a paper type cup. Apparently the stuff eats through it. And when I said that Scotch-Brite pad, the Scotch-Brite pad was kind of laying next to the area, and it got soaked in that stuff. So I kind of just brought it over here and I'm gonna let it set on the axle of the 1066. Maybe take some of that surface rust off, as long as it's kind of dripping out of that cup and that Scotch-Brite pad is soaked up with it. But what I'm gonna do is I'll do a comparison on the two. Most of these tools were rusted pretty much the same way. I'm going to assume it's probably cast iron. It is cast iron. As is most of these tool holders are cast iron. You can tell the way they're rusting. The way that cast iron rusts, it doesn't really rust like steel rust, where it actually pits and peels into metal. Cast iron just does this kind of surface rust type of thing. But what I can do is I can compare them, because basically they're all the same type of material, the cast iron. And again, this thing, well, a day or two, it was soaking for 3 days. It was soaked in there one day, then I came in, it didn't do anything, I couldn't see it doing anything, so I hit it with some steel wool and then put it back in there, and then 2 days left just in the liquid, and this is what it got. Which is really good, but I've seen a lot of guys throw stuff into Evapo-Rust, and you know, a day later it's kind of clean, and I don't think they did any work to it. But I'll tell you what I'm gonna do is I'll compare them, because I'll go through this this Metal Rescue, maybe on the 4-jaw chuck and some other stuff that I have. There's parts of the lathe that probably need to be cleaned up from the rust. I've kind of sprayed it down with WD-40 just to keep it from rusting further. Kind of getting it out of the weather and bringing it into the shop would probably make that rust progress. The dampness of it and trying to dry out would progress it. But I might put some of it on the Scotch-Brite pad and start trying to pull these ways down, you know, get some of that surface rust off of these ways. I gotta tell you, one of the things that I did do is on the ways, I took a file. Let me see if you can see that. I took a file and just kind of went over it, a very fine machinist file, and went over it, and it doesn't look pitted at all. Now there are some dings in there. You can see some dings in there, but those dings look like it was hit with something. But I'm gonna try that rust removal stuff on, kind of give myself and you guys, whoever watches, a kind of a critique on the difference between the two of them, if there is any difference. So, but I'll bring you back. Let me show you what I got going here. A little while ago, or I probably am going to pre-post a video about this. I went out looking for Evapo-Rust, and I looked on the website, and they listed Home Depot as having Evapo-Rust. When I got to Home Depot, they didn't have Evapo-Rust. They had this stuff that's called Metal Rescue. And I put this in it, and I posted a video about it, but this thing sat in there for like 3 days, and I got this, but I didn't get this by it just sitting in there. I actually pulled it out after a day and kind of buffed it off a little bit with some steel wool, and then put it back in there. After I pulled it out for the day, there was absolutely no difference in it. It was still rusty like this. It was just wet rust. I kind of buffed it off with some steel wool. It took a little bit of the finish off, and I put it back in there, and then I came back and pulled it out and got this finish off of it. But that was 3 days. Now, what I want to do is I went out to Tractor Supply, and I found Evapo-Rust. Now, at Tractor Supply, the Evapo-Rust was $21.99. Home Depot, this Metal Rescue was $27, maybe $26.99 or $27.99, whichever. But I kind of told you that I was going to do a video on comparing the two of them. So what I've got is I've got some parts from the lathe. What I'm going to do is put parts in each one of them, and I'll compare them for you. So what I'll do is I'll throw one of these in the Metal Rescue, and maybe something else. This center, and then I'm going to put these two things in the Evapo-Rust, and what I'll do is I'll compare the two of them. Let me just pour that in so it covers it. And what I'll do is I'll compare them. I'm going to leave them in for a day, take a look at them, maybe flip them over after one day, or yeah, that's probably what I'll do, depending on what their condition is. But I'll bring you back for it.